Good evening, and welcome to another World of Warships video with Captain Darkwing Glacier. This is another ranked battle in my Montana, and we are playing on the battle on the map North, which is not one of my favorite maps for this game because it always tends to be a knife fight over sea, which, by itself is not so bad, but the fact that there are many large islands in the middle that do not give me many clear fields of fire tends to be pretty frustrating. Many of the battles here, as in this map, tend to be almost predictable in that any radar vessels hug the islands close to sea, on that large island in the middle. They perform area denial, and destroyers have to try to get in there and survive the inevitable radaring and firestorm from the enemy team. And each team, gets the other caps, either the A cap or the B cap, and it tends to be a battle of attrition until one team makes a mistake, loses a ship, and then the other team can move in and take over the cap and get the win. So I am the sole battleship on my team, and I decide that I'm going to go by the two large islands to the east of sea and see if I can get a good angle on the enemy ships. It turns out that both of our teams have Montanas for battleships, which in such a case they tend to be a little bit more mobile than the bow tanking Yamatos, which tend to hug an island very close and get it in position and then sit there the entire rest of the battle just unleashing their salvos and deleting enemy ships. But Montanas, since we need to get half of our firepower from our rear turrets, we need to be a little bit more mobile to be able to get the most out of our ships. Also, we can't bow tank against a Yamato because they will simply match our bow armor and do some serious damage. So Montana needs to kind of sail back and forth, minimizing the time that they spend broadside to the enemy, while also trying to deal as much damage as they can to the enemy. So here, looks like the enemy Minotaur is trying to flank our team. We have two destroyers over there, and unfortunately he's already behind the island, so I cannot get a clear shot at him. And that's kind of what happens at this game. Every time you see an enemy ship in a position where you can shoot him, he ends up getting behind an island and you can't do anything. So I was considering taking a shot against the enemy Montana, who I can see pretty well, but since destroyers, there are three of them, I need to help my destroyers as much as possible. So even though it's a lesser percentage shot, I take it against the gearing anyway, and this time I'm fortunate enough to do 9,500 points of damage to him, which will significantly reduce his effectiveness because now he can't get in a knife fight with one of our destroyers. Of course, I pay for that by taking a citadel of my own from the enemy Montana, but I can handle a couple of those shots, so it was almost certainly worth it to do that. So over at A, we have a Yue Yang and a Shimakaze and a Des Moines. Hopefully they will be able to hold off the enemy team from pushing, and it looks like the enemy Minotaur and Hindenburg might be doing just that. I guess that there's probably a DD over there as well. Over at the sea cap, we appear to be evenly matched. We have both battleships. Each of us have a Des Moines, and each of us has a gearing. We also have a Hindenburg, and they might have another cruiser in there. Now it looks like they probably have another destroyer over there. So we have the cruiser advantage, but again, both of our Des Moines have taken up their standard positions right next to the sea cap on either side of the island, where neither one can hit the other, and neither team can strike the other because they are too close to the islands for the shells to pass overhead. Now the enemy Montana is kind of sticking out in the open, which is good for us because we can shoot torpedoes at him, we can try to whittle him down while he backs up and he's not able to maneuver. I've switched to HE at this point because most of my shells, if I tried to fire AP at him, would bounce off of his armor or overpenetrate or shatter. So I decide the best thing to do is to burn him down if I can. The enemy Des Moines is occasionally pushing forward, he's occasionally backing up, and I will take any shots of opportunity that I can on him, but unfortunately the timing has to be perfect, so I have to be constantly watching to see if he sticks his nose out a little too far. So there I am trying to line it up, but again, if I take a shot now, it'll hit the island, and that would be a wasted shot. So it looks like our Shimakaze over in the west is attempting to flank the enemy, which is dangerous because if he has no support, if he gets caught out alone. I decide that since I don't have any targets over by sea, I'm going to take a shot at the enemy Yue Yang. Maybe I'll get a lucky hit on him as well, or at the very least cause him to continue to dodge because I'm just causing more fire in his direction. Looks like my shells do not hit, and I still don't have any targets. Our Des Moines is getting ready to do radar again. I tell him to wait until my shells have reloaded, but it looks like he might have done it anyway, or maybe not yet. In any case, I get my AP shots off on him. Now our Shimakaze is in trouble because he is overextended. The enemy Minotaur came around the corner and sank him. Now, one thing you should be paying attention to right now, our Des Moines is in the A cap. He has the Yue Yang over there with him against 3 enemy ships, the Minotaur, the Hindenburg, and the enemy Yue Yang. But look at what our Yue Yang is doing. He is heading east towards the sea cap, where things over at the sea cap is doing just fine. At least we're holding our own. But the Des Moines is now alone. The Yue Yang is just completely abandoning him. I don't know what he's thinking. I mean, perhaps he's thinking that our gearing is not going into the sea cap, so he needs to do it. I honestly don't know. At this point, it's probably a little bit too early to go into the sea cap because there's no way anyone's going to survive. And now the Yue Yang is turning north, like he's going to go around the island. I'm still trying to figure out what he's doing. In any event, he's not contributing right now. So I spot the Z-52 and I take some shots against him, but he turns away, so he's able to get by unscathed. Our gearing is actually going around the eastern flank, which is dangerous, but hopefully he knows what he's doing. He's still at full health. The enemy gearing is at still about half health, so in a one-on-one he'd probably be able to take out the enemy gearing. Maybe he's just going to try to flank them and launch torpedoes, which would be helpful. Yeah, that's what he says in chat. He's saying that he's coming in to torp the Des Moines, and that would be, you know, the way to kick the door open, and then we can push into the sea cap. The Z-52 takes a big hit. I see the Des Moines. He's starting to peek out again. I'm desperately wanting my shells to reload faster, but it looks like the Des Moines is already backing up. He's taking shots at me, and I'm frustrated because I don't have a shot. And then I see the Montana starting to poke his nose out, so I change targets. My shells are loaded. I fire my AP shells. I'm getting close to the island, so I need to slow down. Watching my shells come in, and they all go way in front of the Montana because since I changed targets too fast, I did not realize at the time that the Montana was actually decelerating, so I blew that shot. Now the Yue Yang is way over on the island here. He launches some torpedoes, probably just for area denial. I'm not so sure that's the best thing to do, but he's also revealing himself by shooting at the Montana, which is a very questionable decision to do. He really should be up there spotting for us and not putting himself at risk by firing like that. Now our Des Moines is taking some fire as well. The enemy Montana is attempting to back up. I launched my spotter plane. Here come torpedoes from the gearing, which do not appear to hit anything. Our Des Moines and Hindenburg are doing some good damage to the, looks like the Yue Yang is actually now contributing a little bit. He's doing some damage to the Montana, which is good, but it's really not his job at this point. The enemy Yue Yang goes down to our gearing, which is excellent news. It evens the score, or very close to it. And the gearing is doing very well at distracting the enemy team because now there is an enemy behind them, and they have to deal with that. On the other side, the Des Moines is doing his best against a Hindenburg and a Minotaur. And in our desperation to get out of the way, I collide with our Hindenburg, who is terrified because he's in the open, I'm in the open, and we're jammed into each other, so I throw my engine into full reverse. I see the Montana there. He's only got 8,400 health left. I fire some AP, even though it's head-on. Fortunately, I do get enough damage with 5 over-penetrating hits and 1 penetrating hit, and I do get the kill. So now we definitely have an advantage now. We have the points. We have +1 ship. I start accelerating again. I'm trying to help our Des Moines, who's getting overwhelmed here, and he's been doing a great job trying to hold on to the A-cap and keep the enemy Minotaur and Hindenburg away from him. But look at the C-cap. The Yue Yang, for some reason, went into the cap and is now completely exposed to the Des Moines. He did so he could launch some torpedoes, but that was extremely questionable because he exposed himself, and if we lose him, we're in deep trouble. So now he's shooting at the Des Moines rather than attempting to get out of range, which kind of boggles my mind. He turns hard to port to get out of there, and now our Des Moines, I'm not entirely sure what he was thinking. Either he exposes himself to the enemy Des Moines by going in the cap. I'm wondering if he's thinking that he saw the Yue Yang go in there, so he needed to get in there to bail him out. But in doing so, he exposed himself to a lot of fire. He can only fire his rear turret, while the enemy Des Moines can fire his front turrets, and our Des Moines appears to be doomed. Yep, he's taking fire from both the Z-52, the enemy Des Moines, and the enemy gearing all at the same time. And I try to take a shot against the Z-52 to help, but it's too little too late. Our Des Moines is down, and right at the same moment, we lose our second Des Moines. So all of a sudden, we were up 1 ship, we lost 2 ships, and you can see the frustration in chat from our Hindenburg driver. And we're going to lose the A-cap if we don't have some kind of presence over here. But at the same time, I realize we need to make a move, and we need to make it fast, otherwise we're going to lose this game. The enemy Hindenburg is actually continuing to run away, so he's not the threat. It's really the Minotaur, but I do not have the ability to spot him. His spotting range is far less than, or his detection range is far less than mine. So I realize I just got to turn around. I got to get into the C-cap. I'm wondering if our Hindenburg will be able to fend off the Minotaur. Kind of hoping he will. Whereas our Yue Yang who has completely abandoned the cap before, so now it is still in neutral hands. Our gearing driver is telling him to get back into the cap, get in there, and capture it, because now there's no one really to shoot at him. Even if the Des Moines uses radar, there might be a DD out there. But what is the Yue Yang doing? He just skirted the edge of the cap, and now he's turning away again. The only thing I can think of is, maybe he's going to back up into it? Or maybe he's gonna try to go behind the island that's right on the eastern side of C and hide there. That's what I think he should do, unless he's just gonna hang in, like, just barely in the northern part of the cap. But now the Des Moines is firing on him, and we're just like, what is going on? I'm trying to tell my team that I'm going to go into the C-cap and kill the Des Moines, so the Yue Yang, all he has to do is just survive, and we'll be fine. But instead, he's charging towards the Des Moines, and the Des Moines is 27,000 health, down to the 5,000 or less of the Yue Yang. This is a fight that he's not going to win, and the inevitable happens. The Yue Yang dies. We've lost another ship. I'm completely baffled at this point. I don't know what he was thinking. There were so many things he could have done to avoid getting killed there, and yet he just went in there. So he's trying to make an excuse that his steering was gone. Okay, that's fine. He probably took a hit. I can understand that, but he said he had no support whatsoever. He didn't need any support. He just needed to hide behind the island and just wait. and we were definitely trying to come in there. It's not like we were ignoring him or anything. We were all trying to go there as fast as we could. So, and now the inevitable has happened again. The Minotaur is trying to cap A. Our gearing driver is upset. He's saying, nice throw by my team. And I can understand his frustration because it seemed like we had this a while back and we blew it. So now our Hindenburg is going to the sea cap. He's going to have to take it. Bunch of torpedoes coming in, but we should be able to avoid those. There's a second wave of torpedoes from the other enemy destroyer. And now our Yue Yang is saying if the battleship had pushed, he could have killed him. Well, I was pushing. So at this point, I'm pretty mad. So I take a shot and I kill that gearing. Doesn't quite redress the balance, but at least makes me feel that I haven't completely embarrassed myself in this game, or our team hasn't embarrassed itself. So now I'm just going to push forward and I'm going to finish off that Des Moines. That's my intention. I have a shot on the Hindenburg right now, and perhaps I should have taken it, but then I realized, no, I need to save it and finish off that Des Moines, and my Hindenburg can go after the enemy Hindenburg. There I spot the enemy Minotaur. So I decide I'm going to use my shots against him at first. Shots out on him. And that's kill number 3. So who's next? Guns are reloading. There's the enemy Des Moines. He's very well angled. But he's only Des Moines. He's not a Hindenburg. Shots out on the Des Moines. That's kill number 4. Problem is, we are still behind on points, but we are now ahead on ships. They have 2 caps. Time is running out fast. The enemy team is starting to panic now. And if I lost 3 ships that fast, I'd be a little bit worried too. But I don't know where the enemy Z-52 is. He could torp me and I could go down. The enemy's at 900 points now. Unfortunately, I'm chasing behind a Hindenburg. I'm desperate to kill this guy, but the problem is he's a Hindenburg. He's well angled against me. My AP is not going to do a lot of damage to him, so I need to switch to HE shells as fast as I can. Fortunately, here's some torpedoes from the Z-52 that are not aimed that well. They're aimed a little bit in front of me, so fortunately I don't take any hits. I'm reloading with HE now. 22,000 hit points left on the Hindenburg. I'm really concerned that there's not enough time. Fortunately, my teammate does get a torpedo hit on his stern, but he starts using his repair party immediately. There's now 960 plus points in the enemy team. We only have seconds left. My guns reload. I fire my shots, but it's 14,000 hit points. I seriously doubt I can kill him in one shot. I do set him on fire and get 3 hits. He's now down to 11,000. And he's slowly burning, but they're at 976 points. We just don't have enough. Our Hindenburg is heading towards the A cap, but it's too little too late. They have 985. I get 1 more salvo off from my front guns because I turned too much for my rear guns to get an angle, which was probably a serious mistake. More torpedoes are headed my way. Shots out again. And I take a hit. My guns do not have time to reload. And that is the game. So that was a nail-biter, a very frustrating game due to performance of some of my teammates. I am able to get 4 kills due to going into beast mode right at the end, but it turns out not to be enough. And like many ranked games, it turned out to be pretty frustrating. Thanks for watching.